Welcome back to the Nug Life Radio Show, a higher level of education for the cannabis counterculture community. I have beautiful music playing in the background here. Nug Life Radio, I want to be very happy. First of all, I'm Medicinal Mike here with Hopper and Benji Garcia Reyes. I'll put your mics on so we're all having great fun. I'm very happy because I have on the phone Sweden on my regular phone because the office phone doesn't do overseas calls.
Yeah. They're not letting him do that.
So that's Adrian Columb. And let me get this set up here.
Adrian Columb.
And he is doing what, Hopper?
He's
Help me out.
clinical trials for cannabis effects on ADHD.
There we go. And Hopper. All right. It's one of them days, man.
Yeah,
Adrian
yeah.
is all the way calling us from Sweden. I want to welcome to the show. Adrian, can you hear us, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's pretty fast, I can hear you.
Does it sound pretty bad?
No, it's all right. It's all right.
It sounds great. That's what I thought, because that's what we're all about here at the Nug Life Radio Show, making things happen. Adrian, you're doing a fantastic job out there. I was surprised you're out in Sweden. I love the reach. You are working for the clinical trials for ADHD, and is that crisscrossing with cannabis research?
Yeah, well, actually, I've been using cannabis as a medicine for ADHD for quite a long time, and most of that time has been illegally. I had a couple of months where I was in Canada and had access to the compassion clubs there, but apart from that, yeah, it's been a very long time taking medicine illegally. It's just in the last 6 months that has the problem, and the that is the medical research.
Okay, what we're going to do, because of our connection is so lovely between Sweden and What time is it? What time is it out there in Sweden?
It's almost 3 a.m.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the only AM.
It's not 3 in the afternoon, Mike.
Okay. I do thank you for staying up. I know it's late. We do have a little trouble hearing you, but I'm going to try to fill in where I can.
Is this a bit better? Is that better, mate?
That is much better.
Oh, okay, yeah, got the mic on now.
Oh, thank you. Tell us one more time, please, about the ADHD with cannabis research that you're working on right now, the clinical trials that you're raising money.
Much better. I've just run a crowdfunding campaign. It's at igg.me/at/cannabis for ADHD. But if you go to Indiegogo and type cannabis for ADHD, it should come up. I raised 3,277 of the required 3,840 that I need to fund the writing of a pilot study, which in turn will lead to a full clinical trial, which in turn will lead to the evidence that doctors and governments around the world require before cannabis can be prescribed as a legal medicine for ADHD. It's a long road ahead, but this is the smallest piece of the puzzle that could be done first. So I've taken that step, and through this crowdfunding campaign that ended a few days ago, officially, I've managed to do that. Because I reached the target, I have managed to keep the page open, and there's still one Volcano Digit with Easy Valve system available as a perk. It's just $500, which is 25% off the recommended retail of $669. So
saving money for a good cause.
A great bait and help a great cause at the same time. That would be a fantastic thing to do. And if anyone also just wants to contribute $5 or $10, that would also be a great help to this cause.
Also, too,
researcher who's
are you guys like on the forefront because you're out there in Sweden? You're coming in beautifully now. Because you're out there in Sweden, are you guys? I've never been there myself, but are you ahead or behind the States?
And
Australia. That explains the accent. My phone said Sweden. My phone said I was calling Sweden. I apologize for that. I don't know how close Sweden and Australia are.
You're not that medicated.
I am in Europe right now, but it's a bit of an international project, and most of the other people working on it with me are in the US and Canada, with a couple in Australia and one in South Africa. But yeah.
Is this an ongoing project? Is this an ongoing project? Is this something you're doing?
Yes, it's ongoing. I've just raised the funds for the first step in the process to legalise cannabis for ADHD. Once I've had the pilot study written, I'll have to fund the legals and ethical review and the pilot study itself, and then the full clinical trial. So it is a long process ahead. I've just literally funded the first step. So if any of your listeners are willing to help fund this study further, I only need to raise another $570 or so. The website, again, if I could just say that,
Please.
It's igg.me/at/cannabis for ADHD. And, there's also a website full of information at cannabisforadhd.org.
I like that. Now, do you ever cross over into the States? Do we ever get to see you in person?
Look, the Scientific Advisory Board is actually made up of experts from the States and one from Israel. But from the States, we have Lester Grinspoon, Julie Holland, Robert Melamed, and from Israel, Professor Raphael Meshulam, who I'm sure you guys know. I've been to the US. I've lived in the US for a couple of years. I would love to come again. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what legalization feels like, visiting one of those 5 states, and also I'd look forward to the opportunity to be a medical patient in one of those states, although California is the only state without legalization that
Isn't that
has
amazing?
medical cannabis. ADHD.
We were
So
supposed
I'd
to be
have
the
visit
first
California.
ones. We were supposed to be the first ones that popped up in the legalization, and found out that we are the last to crack.
You're the last. Yeah, I thought you'd be the first, but apparently it's easier to do in states with smaller voting publics or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that's the trick to it.
I'm sorry it's coming.
And I appreciate it. So one more time.
California was the first place for medical to happen, and it's still the first place and the only place to have the catch-all that cannabis can be prescribed for any condition which it helps, which means that it can be prescribed for ADHD, and that's the only reason that we have enough anecdotal evidence to support my study. California has been the case study since the medicinal cannabis laws passed years ago.
Are you guys...
So in that sense, the US is waiting for this study to happen as well. These sorts of studies transcend borders. So even though it will be done in Germany, where it's legal to be done right now,
Right.
The results will be valid everywhere. So the fact that the US government blocks research by restricting access to
The U.S.
grades
government
and
blocks information. Say what? Yeah, we were actually lucky enough to be the first to find that out here. How do people that are not in Sweden, like, are you national, like a nonprofit or something? Like, can organizations or events register to kind of help you out in some way legally? Does that make sense?
At this point, just through the crowdfunding page. And as I said, it's a long way to go. The full clinical trial is actually going to cost it's $1.5 million is the budget that I've had estimated at this point. So, as I said, it's a long way to go. But the next chunk will probably only cost about $50,000, which is the pilot study itself, and I can break that down further. So if anyone wants to contribute as a business, I've got perks on there which allow you to contribute up to $1,000 as a platinum level sponsor, and have your logo on the Cannabis for ADHD website, and also on the Indiegogo page. That would be absolutely fantastic. So far, we haven't had any businesses interested enough in contributing and having their logo on the website. But, yeah, that's certainly welcome. Everything so far has been from private individuals.
What I will do, too, is I'll have our web designer give you a call, and we'll make sure to get some word out to you through our websites and any way we can, affiliates and such.
That'd be really great, Mike. Thank you so much for this exposure. Really.
And I want to say thank you so much for coming on to the show. One more time, if you could, with that website, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. The Indiegogo page, where the Volcano Digit with Easy Valve system is available just for the next 12 hours until I've got to give it back if it doesn't go, is igg.me/at/cannabis for ADHD, or just search on Indiegogo for Cannabis for ADHD. And my website is cannabisforadhd.org, and there's also a link to the Indiegogo page from the top of the homepage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cullum. You're definitely doing God's work.
I just want to give one quick shout out and say thanks very much to the National Patients Wall. The folks over there have given me great support during the campaign.
We know them and we love them very much. Very much. In fact, I think we had them on last week.
We did.
What a coincidence.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Small
Mr.
world.
Colum. We appreciate you. How do I say your last name proper, please?
It's Colum. It's Columbus without the U.S.
Columbus without the U.S. Well, you have our support, part of us as a team, Mr. Columbus.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Yeah. Just again, thank you so much.
Yeah, and for the work you do. We appreciate you, and thanks again for calling into the show. Feel free to call in anytime. You want to call us once a month and just remind people, hey, we're still working on this. We're here for you.
Thanks a lot. I'd love to come back.
All right, brother. You have a great day.
You did some amazing work. I really enjoyed the show tonight.
Oh, thank you for listening, and please tell all your friends in Sweden because I'm coming to do a comedy show out there, and I want people to know who I am before I get there.